What's up again, everybody? Today I've compiled a list of all of the classic constructed heroes and what is perhaps their most powerful combo or card sequence or synergy or just basically their most powerful play that they can make within the classic constructed meta. And this is kind of weird because technically all of these heroes can also be played in Blitz, so these plays can also be translated to Blitz. But I'm going to focus mainly on the classic constructed scene because that's what we're going to be spending a lot of time with going forward. It's the premier format for the game, so let's look at it from a classic constructed perspective. Now, if you think there is a more powerful combo line or synergy line for any of these heroes, leave it down in the description. Let's make ourselves a nice little database with comments and with this video of the powerful plays that each of the heroes can make. I'll give you my list here in this video, and you can add yours down in the comments to help anybody else that wants to read up on some of these heroes. Okay, so we're gonna go chronologically, which is a weird way to say that we're starting with all of the Welcome to Wraith heroes in the order that they're given in Welcome to Wraith, then Arcane Rising, and then we'll move to Monarch from there. Before we get too far into it though, I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the sponsors of this channel. First of all the patrons that are just absolute amazing people. All of those patrons up there are fantastic, wonderful people, and if you're a patron, that's you. That means it's you. You're fantastic and wonderful. And all of the wonderful shops and people that have given us affiliate codes that we can use to get cheaper stuff and to support the channel here on youtube.com/DMArmada. You guys are amazing as well. If you want to support the channel by buying stuff from them, I highly recommend it. If you want to support the channel, I mentioned it earlier, there's a Patreon. You can go up to the Patreon, you can support via the Patreon. If you do support via the Patreon, you can get access to all of the deck lists that I build. I build all of the deck lists and I take them and I put them onto a really nicely formatted sheet, and I give them to you, and I update the list every time I build a deck, and every time I iterate on a deck, I'm putting deck lists that the community has submitted. I'm putting down the Devastation deck lists. If you want to see those, I have those on there as well. So if you want to support the channel and get access to something that I think you can use for a long time, head over to Patreon, hit the Cabal tier subscription, and I'll give you access to that. Okay, here we go. If we're going chronologically, we're starting with the granddaddy of them all, Rhino. The brutes, there's 3 brutes in the game now, and yet because there are 3 brutes, there's still just one ultimate power in my opinion, and that's Rhino. And I think the most powerful possible thing, and this is honestly it's probably true for a lot of the brutes, is for a brute player, Rhino particularly, to play Blood Rush Bellows and then discard that 6 attack and then move right into attacking with both of the claws. Why is this super powerful? Well, Blood Rush Bellow is enabling, through the discard, if you hit the discard correctly, it's enabling an Intimidate trigger off of Rhino. Depending on what you actually discard, it could also do a second Intimidate trigger off of Rhino, depending on things that could happen. And once you've hit that trigger, if you've hit a 6 attack so that you can actually do the Blood Rush Bellows effect, you're drawing cards, so you're getting a card advantage there. The card replaces itself +1. I guess technically it's almost like it gives you the card that you discarded in a way back. But on top of all of that, on top of basically drawing cards and gaining card advantage, you're turning on the effect on the claws. And the Mandible Claws are 2 cards that were probably underrated by everyone when they first released in Crucible of War, but are now just absolutely dominant in my opinion. And the more I mess with them, the more I realize how dominant they are, particularly when you play Blood Rush right before that. Blood Rush is turning on the Go Again effect on the claws, because if you discard a 6, you're using Blood Rush's effect to draw cards and gain Go Again, and you're also turning on the claws Go Again as well. And Blood Rush is giving each of those +2. So massive plays can be made from just this simple act of playing a Blood Rush Bellow and discarding the right card from your hand. And that's the minimum, you just stop there and you've already got massive play. After you do the 2 claw attacks, You could probably slip something else in there depending on how your hand like pitches out, if you have the pitch resources or that sort of thing. But you could, I mean, heck, if you got lucky and drew into a second Blood Rush Bellow, you could go Blood Rush Bellow, and attack with the claws like crazy. Those two-card combo, that two-card combo to me just screams free power, and that's the reason I list it as one of the best combos for Brute, and particularly for Rhino in the game. It just seems like it's just free power. We could have talked about like Alpha Rampage discarding Massacre to like do the Intimidate 3 thing, and I think that is powerful, but I think it's easier to just play Blood Rush Bellows and set Claws as your weapon at the beginning of the game, and therefore, because of the ease of use of just drawing a single card and making sure you discard the right thing, I think that's the most powerful combo in possibly Brute, but at least in Rhino. Next up, we have Bravo and the Guardian class, and I'm interested to see if this one changes as we get Tales of Aria spoilers later down the line. I'm going to assume we're going to get spoilers before we see the cards there at Las Vegas, but maybe not. Maybe they'll just kind of go carte blanche, let everything that gets opened be spoiled, and then give the rest of the spoilers, I don't know, out by themselves, like just spoil them. It's going to be interesting. Nevertheless, before I get too sidetracked on something very exciting, we're going to talk about, I think this is an easy one to just call, the most powerful play that you want to play for, just face up, easy power, is dominating your Crippling Crush. Okay, just dominate a Crippling Crush, throw it at your opponent, and watch them discard cards, right? Especially because if dominating a Crippling Crush happens mid to late game, your opponent has already started to exhaust their equipment blocks, and if you've managed to just dominate Crippling and they don't have the equipment blocks to deal with the Crush effect, to prevent the Crush effect, then you're just gaining pure card advantage. At that point, it's almost better for them to not block anything and to just discard 2 cards from their hand, because at that point, they're already going to be discarding cards basically by throwing it down in front of a dominated Crippling Crush. So unless they can go like 1 card from hand, pitch, play an unmovable from Arsenal, they're still just going to lose cards if they can't do that play. If they can do that play, you've successfully caused them to block, to pitch, and then to use an Arsenal card. So they still have like a 2-card hand, which is really, really solid. That is just an easy, solid, like that's the top of the line. That's what you're aiming for. Now, there's situational things that seem stronger when you're playing against certain classes, but against all classes, dominating a Crippling Crush mid-game, late game, is just game winning, right? So for me, that is the #1 most powerful combo that Guardian has access to currently. Next up is Ninja, and we're going to talk about Katsu, and this one's kind of weird because like Katsu's one of those and Ninja's one of those that have a lot of different combos or things that they can do, synergies within themselves, because the combo keyword is built into the class. So what I'm going to do for this one, I think the single most powerful setup, or like part of the deck, is the Whelming Gustwave line. Just the line. If you, and the reason I have to say it like this is because the way that Katsu's effect works. Because if you let the first piece, as the opponent, if you let the first piece of that Whelming Gustwave line hit, then they go and they tutor out the next piece, and they piece together the combo with cards from hand and with the deck. And at which point, like it just gets to the point where you can't deal with it, and you're just going to take free damage from your opponent. So it's almost as if you have to always respect those like couple of pieces of the Whelming Gustwave line as they show up, and if you don't, you can get super murdered, which is just kind of cool. Like that's kind of the reason why I fell in love with the game in the first place, is like this combo line of Katsu, how he can just kind of jam down cards and they kind of connect off of each other, and then he can go tutor out cards that connect to that. That to me is the most powerful combo in Katsu. Now some people could say like the turtle line, where you literally, like, the most powerful thing about Katsu is that he can just block forever, and you could probably make that argument, so maybe you put that down in the comments below. But for me, I think it's the Whelming Gustwave line. And the last hero within the Welcome to Wraith class is Dorinthia and Warrior, and to me, Warrior is strongest and Dorinthia is strongest when she can play Steelblade Supremacy and Iron Song Determination. Those 2 cards in concert like I said with you know, dominating a Crippling Crush, if you can play Steel Blade and Determination like on the same turn in the mid game or the late game, you're just gonna run away with the game at that point. It just becomes it's just, you can't deal with it. It's undealable. I don't know if that's actually a word, but I'm going to use it. It's undealable because, again, you're gaining card advantage with Steel Blade Supremacy with the on hit of your sword with Dawn Blade. And then you're giving Dawn Blade Dominate as well, so you're almost ensuring card advantage. At that point, you just need like Refraction Bolters or Twinning Blade or you know, like anything that gives Go Again, Warrior's Valor, like all of those kinds of cards. You just need something to give Go Again, and you're comfortable. So like Arsenal, Steel Blade Supremacy, draw into an early game pitched Iron Song Determination, play both of them with a Warrior's Valor, and just win the game. Like, just win the game. It's super gross. It's super disgusting. All you really have to do is play to that out and deal damage throughout the game kind of consistently. Play to that out, and you're just going to run away with the game because your opponent can't deal with it. Now, they do have the capability to swing back because you're dominating your attack, and so, yes, you'll get card advantage, but if you dominate the attack and they choose to block with something, then you can do all your reprise effects and draw all these cards and do more reprise effects. It's just disgusting. It's just gross, and that is the most powerful warrior line for Dorinthia. On to the Arcane Rising heroes, and that brings us to Dash and the Mechanologist class. And this one's another weird one, kind of like Katsu, in the sense that, like, yes, we could say, like, in a vacuum, the ability to boost and give Go Again to these middle, like, 5-6 attack things is the strongest thing you can do. That is kind of too amorphous for me, but it is really powerful. So for me, I'm gonna say the most powerful thing that you can do as a Dash player is play a couple of induction chambers and play some plasma purifiers. Those two cards with your pistol are just disgustingly cool. It's the one reason that I like Mechanologist. I guess the boost thing is cool and unique. I like being able to boost, but for me, I love the idea of like getting items that make your weapon stronger, jamming them down, and then just shooting your opponent in the face a bunch. I think that's so fun. It's so cool, and it's very scary late game. So if you can survive to the late game and jam down like two induction chambers and 2 plasma purifiers, it is so powerful. You're just gonna win at that point because you're gonna peel cards away from them, and you're doing it for the price of pitching blues. Like, pitch a blue, charge everything up, remove the charge counters, attack, pitch a blue, do it. It's just so gross. It's so cool too. It's so cool, and that is what I think is perhaps the most powerful tool in the arsenal of a Mechanologist. Yes, boost is great, but too amorphous to say that's the most powerful thing. I think the pistol and those 2 cards as a combo are the most powerful thing in mech. Next up is Azalea. Yes, I know, you're like, is he just gonna skip Azalea completely because she's not powerful? She is kind of powerful. I'll just put it at that. Okay, so here's what is powerful about her, and I know people rag on people saying this combo. I know they do. I don't care. So here it is. I'm gonna say it anyway. Take aim into a dominated red in the ledger. Okay, for me that is the most powerful effect that you can get, is a take aim, giving like a red take aim, giving +3 into a dominated red in the ledger, where you use Azalea's ability to pop it off the top of the deck, jam it down into your arsenal, and then fire it away, coming across for 8 with dominate. If it hits at all, they only get 1 action. That to me is the most powerful. Now, unfortunately for Azalea players and Azalea herself, it's really hard to set that up with consistency, just because of the way that she has to load the arrow and then play the arrow. There's just consistency issues with it. You gotta draw it, you gotta find a way to get it to the top of the deck, like that sort of stuff. And so if you can manage to get it, it's a very powerful thing. I mean, you compare that to like a Bravo playing a dominated Crippling Crush, which deals 11 and discards 2 cards. This one deals 8, costs way less, and if it hits at all, not a crush effect, but if it hits at all, they only get 1 action. So it doesn't lose them cards, but it basically slows their turn down to a crawl, and it plays really well against certain classes. Now, that being said, it's Azalea, so maybe with Tales of Aria, it gets a lot better for Ranger. Let's cross our fingers and hope. but still pretty cool. Viserai and Runeblade time, and this one's hard for me because I want to say that the answer is like Rune Chance plus throwing down like Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath, but I'm gonna go a little bit different and go with a new school combo. I think playing Sonata with Bloodsheath Skeleton is where it's at. Sonata, Rune Chance, and Bloodsheath Skeleton, allowing you to just draw a ton of cards and then slam down attacks, or slam down like go again attacks. Like, I think that is now the most powerful thing that Viserai can do. He can generate Rune Chance better than Chain can, and he can make very good use of those Rune Chance with the cards that he has. It's just the normal Runeblade cards. He can make good use of those Rune Chance with those. Combine that with the Skeleton and a Sonata that allows you to basically draw, depending on how, like, what format you're playing. Classic Constructed, draw a third of your deck or a quarter of your deck and take a look at what it is, because you're playing that combo like mid game, so you've burned through a decent portion of your deck. You jam that down, you draw a third of your deck, and look at that and get like 5 cards from it, and then slam down either 5 cards if you played a go wide version or a couple of big attacks. It's a very, very powerful combo, and one that I'm curious to see if people take it to Road to Nationals and give it a shot, because I do think it has some potential to be meta shaking in a way. And the final arc hero is Kano and the Wizard class, and it's one that people, I don't know, some people are divided on. Some people want Kano to be better. Some people are like, nah, I'm good, because arcane damage in that in those lumps is a little bit hard to deal with, or it just makes you change your tactics. I would like Kano to be a little bit better personally. I'm curious to see if they do give us Arya or Wizard in Arya. I think that'd be fun. Nevertheless, I think in this current format, it's very easily the combo of Stir the Aether Winds into like another Stir the Aether Winds into Forked Lightning. That's the combo, man. Like, if you can get even just one Stir into Forked, like, that's what you're looking to do. Stir, Crucible, Forked, win the game. Like, that is the ultimate combo that you can build towards. If you wanted to throw, like, if you want to get really lucky and throw a Blazing Aether on the end of it to deal massive damage, that's the God hand, the God combo. You land it all off the top or something like that. That is the number one thing that you can do as Wizard, and it's oftentimes what people play for in Blitz, is finding the Stir into Forked for basically the win, because Stir plus Crucible plus Forked Lightning equals 12. And 12 is really hard to deal with when you have 20 health and the ability to block maybe 3 or 4 arcane damage. So right now, it may not be the most powerful class in the world, but it has potential, and that is a very good combo. Okay, on to Monarch and the Prism list. The Prism combo is super spicy because it's 1 card. Are you ready? Here's the one, technically it's 2 cards. Here's the 2-card combo for Prism that is like the uber nuts. If they play it against you and you can't stop it, you're gonna die. It is, starting with Luminaris as your weapon, play Herald of Erudition. Hit him with Herald of Erudition, draw the second Herald of Erudition, hit him with Herald of Erudition, win the game. That's it. That's the ultimate Prism combo, is play Luminaris so all of your stuff gets go again, and then go Erudition, and then who cares after that? It doesn't matter, because you've just destroyed your opponent. And this is like totally doable too. If you find Eruditions early, you go pitch Erudition at the early game to pay for something, pitch Erudition number 2 at the early game to pay for another attack, and then just wait, just survive to the mid-late game when your opponents again exhausted their blocks. They can't deal with dominate stuff. You play Erudition, it hits because they can only block with a card from hand. You play second Erudition that you've drawn into from the first one, because it draws you 2 cards, of course. It hits because they can't deal with that one either. Draw 2 more cards, and then just kill them. Just hit them in the face. Like, that's such a cool combo. It's so silly. That card's really good. The fact that it's just attacks for 5 and dominate seems kind of suspect, but it pitches 2, just draws you 2 cards, goes into your soul so you can do soul trick stuff. It's just so good. It's so easy. It's like 1 card, really, and that's why it's funny to me. That's why I'm laughing about it. Next up is Boltyn. It's also easy. Look how easy this is. Just play Lumina Ascension. Just play them. Just play them. If you wanted to play Saber Bolton in Classic Constructed, then you go like Lumina Ascension on one turn, and you do like 2 attacks or whatever. You don't pop the Courage of Bladehold, but you set up at the end of the game. You could set up and you can go, you know, a charge attack. Snapdragon Scalers the charge attack like normal. You know the combo. I did a video on it. If you don't know that combo, look at the video. I put a little link up there. Snapdragon the charge attack, and then play like 2 Luminas because it doubles the go again, or not go again, can attack again with the weapon thing. And pop your courage so you don't have to pay for the weapons, for the 2 axes or the 2 swords, sorry. And then just use all the soul, because you're going to siphon things off the top of your deck into your soul anyway. Just use all your soul cards to just go again, attack, react, go again, attack, react. So yeah, Lumina Ascension is crazy. The fact that you can attack multiple times and you get extra attacks based on how many Lumina Ascensions you play is just ridiculous. Buff your swords. Let them hit, let them like draw your cards and give you health. The health swing part is so underratedly good too, because every time one of those swords hits, it's going to draw you a card, put it into your soul if it's a light card, give you a health. That's so gross, because you're taking health from them and you're giving yourself health. Such a good combo, and it's literally like a 2-card combo. It's like a charge card and Lumina Ascension. Super good. That is like the best Bolton's got. Now we come to Levia, and it's kind of tough because I could literally just say, see the Rhino example and see Blood Rush Bellows and attack with 2 claws. It's still really good and really consistent because you just run 6s and you're cool with discarding stuff because you want to charge up that discard pile to banish it later. But I'm going to go out on a limb and kind of lean into her play style a little bit. I think Dread Screamer into playing one of your crazy banished cards like Deep-Rooted Evil, or playing like a Howl from Beyond into one of those Dread Screamer. I think that's more her flavor, her style, and very powerful. Because if you're playing Dread Screamer, banishing 3, getting to go again, you're coming in for 6, and then you do it again, you're coming in for 6. And heck, if you wanted to argue that Blood Rush Bellows is better, I'd probably be inclined to believe you. But you don't have. We could both beat it. Why not both? Is what I'm saying. Look, why not both? Go Blood Rush Bellow, hit a 6, gain the go again, and then give all your attacks +2, and then come in with your not Deep-Rooted Evil, your Dread Screamer, coming in for 8 now, banishing 3 cards with go again, and then do it again. Like, maybe that's just the uber nuts too. Maybe it's Blood Rush Bellow into Dread Screamers. That's what I'll put on the video. That's the one. And finally, we come to perhaps the most divisive hero that we've seen thus far currently, because how powerful Chain is. Perhaps he's the most divisive. You could argue a couple of different things for Chain. Like, you could say there are more generic or shadow-orientated cards and combos that are more powerful, but I'm gonna go with the one that I like the best, and one that is outright disgustingly like scary because it's so cheap. Riftbind and Seeds of Agony, right? Like, that's the one. It's so cheap and easy. You set it up for late game, just like some of these other combos. You pitch all your seeds and your red Riftbinds. You banish those when you have like 6 Soul Shackles. You play like 3 seeds and a Riftbind, and maybe you even jam, and this is one of those generic cards I was referring to, maybe you even just jam down a Plunder Run before that, and the Plunder Run gives +3 if you play it from Arsenal, plus the draw card trigger, and all the seeds give arcane damage, and Riftbind sees all of them and is like, yeah, okay, I'll take more damage there. I think that is purely just like, if we're just talking about damage and threat level, I think that is what Chain really, really makes people afraid to deal with, is like tons of seeds and Riftbind. Because again, if you banish all of that, seeds are free, Riftbind costs 1. So you pitch a blue as the Chain player, you make a Soul Shackle after you play all the seeds, before you play the Riftbind. You come in with like a 7 Riftbind, and then you play the Nebula Blade with the last 2 resources. And all you needed was like a blue in hand and to banish the right things. That's so gross. That's so gross that you just can have that just given to you, basically. by the banishing. Now, again, Chain does have the drawback of if you don't banish those cards, then you're really sad because like you get benefits from banish. You can't do that combo if you don't banish Riftbind, but you know, he's super powerful. Like it's super easy, it's super good. So that is the, in my opinion, the best thing Chain has going for him, the best line of play that you can get for. And that is the best line of play for each hero, in my opinion. Do you agree with this list? Do you think I missed something? Leave it down in a comment below. Let's compile a list of best, most powerful combo lines of play that you can reference back to on this video when you're prepping for like Road to Nationals, or when you're literally at a calling maybe, and we can have a chat about it. It'll be a great time. Come on, it'll be fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like and the subscribe, and as always, everybody, thanks for watching.